Just 4 days after the South Korea-US summit, there's been an action by the US that impacts our companies. Starting next year, Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix will need US approval to import American-made semiconductor equipment into their factories in China. This is viewed as a US move to counter China's semiconductor industry, and reporter Seo Jongpyo will provide more details.
The U.S. administration has announced plans to revoke the VEU, or Validated End User Status, previously granted to Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix's factories in China. VEU is a system that pre-designates trustworthy companies in China, allowing U.S. companies to skip the approval process when exporting semiconductor equipment. Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix have benefited from this system, allowing them to bring US-made semiconductor equipment into their Chinese factories without separate US approval. But starting next year, they'll need to get approval from the US for each instance. This move is seen as part of the Trump administration's strategy to tighten control over Chinese technology. The US, aiming for semiconductor dominance, has started actively countering China's semiconductor industry to gain an edge in the power struggle.
The US is aiming to become the leading semiconductor power by the year 2030, so they have no choice but to keep up strong pressure on China.
Our domestic semiconductor companies are closely monitoring this move. While there's a 120-day grace period, meaning there's no immediate concern about production slowdowns, they believe it's crucial to monitor the negotiations between the US and our government. There's also an underlying awareness that if this measure drags on, damage is inevitable. The government stated that the US had informed South Korea in advance and that efforts will be made to minimize the impact on domestic companies. This has been Seo Jongpyo for MBN News.